Okay, this one might split some sides, might cook some steaks, as yeah, this might be a hot take. That rhymed, spitting bars.
Stop it.
Okay. That's right though. Today I want to talk about a game that has found itself in some hot waters. It's gotten some mixed reviews, and yet I can't help but enjoy playing, even if we've seen the formula done 100 different times. But today, I want to give sort of a unbiased view of the game, tell you what I like, tell you what some people didn't like, and what I think about a bunch of other things, but we haven't even gotten to the name of the game yet, so aside with this, let's just get right into Gray Zone Warfare. So, hopping right into the first topic of the day, what the heck is Gray Zone Warfare? Because I barely knew about it, I didn't know what it was until I saw it, and maybe you guys don't. And why does it look so good and have so much hate? And my biggest question, how did Madfinger create this? Well, I'll get to all of that, but in short, Gray Zone Warfare is pretty much another new Tarkov. Okay, it's different, but come on. Gray Zone is pretty similar to Tarkov. It's an extraction looter shooter based on the tropical island of Lemang, quite different than war-torn Russia, but civil war is breaking out on the island as locals and factions battle for control. You head into the war zones and complete tasks, collect food, and fear for your life as you peek past every single corner, and you have to successfully get back to your home base alive, or else you lose all your loot, and either have to go find your body and get it, or deal with the loss. So, it's Tarkov, without the hackers. Okay. I will probably compare this game to Tarkov a good amount in this video, but it's only because Tarkov kind of popularized the extraction shooter genre, and other than location, it's kind of what Gray Zone is most similar to in my opinion, but that is pretty much the premise of the game. I want to get a little deeper into how things play, run, and then I'll get to some of that negativity I mentioned before. But kicking things off, I'm going to start right with the gameplay and performance, and I should preface now, Gray Zone is an early access release, like most games today for some reason. At least they can admit it. But yeah, the game is early access, so it is under development still, meaning some of the aspects may change in the future. It may get better, some things may get worse, who knows, but keep that in mind. Gameplay-wise, though, things are pretty standard for a realistic extraction shooter. You know, leaning corners, having to watch noise and visibility, gunfights being literally win or lose situations. You get out with your loot, or you die and you lose it all. But that kind of stuffs. And then there's also mechanics like hydration, energy, blood loss, and injury, and having to eat, drink, mend your wounds, kind of like Tarkov, but I guess 100 other games as well. As expected though, it does go deeper, like needing ammo for mags for guns. Guns are made out of interchangeable components. Like, you don't want to buy a $2,000 M4? Maybe you can buy all the parts to build it for cheaper. Maybe you can buy all the parts to build one that's more to your liking. Who knows? You need a suppressor? You need to buy the threaded barrel. You want an ACOG scope? You gotta buy the corresponding rail. You get the gist. You've seen it before, you've played it before, and I don't want to forget to mention to armor up and bring bags. As I said, things are pretty standard, but there are a lot of gameplay mechanics that I really appreciated and Gray Zone did differently than most extraction-ers. First off, I really love all the animations like eating and inspecting weapons. I love seeing animations in games, especially done so well. And yes, I know other games do have animations, but enough don't that I love seeing and watching animations, especially super detailed ones in games that do, like the water drinking and tofu eating, even the gauze wrapping, even if it's kind of goofy big. But off of that, there's a whole new extraction and home base method in Gray Zone, which is way more immersive, way better than other extraction games I've played. So Gray Zone is actually technically the first open world extraction game I've ever played, at least, and that world is pretty big, but there are 3 factions, each having their own home base shared between the players in that faction. And the home base is obviously safe zone, but you don't join raids or extractions or anything from the home base. You just kind of walk out of safety and into the war zone, and you quote-unquote extract by just walking back into the home base. And that whole system just feels so much better than dealing with timers, loading screens, having to get to extraction points, and wait 30 seconds and then you just like disappear and like all of that. But it also brings us to the next thing that I thought was really cool, and that is the whole helicopter system. So yes, there's a lot of running and you'll run here and there, and running out and into your base is possible, but there is a helicopter system where you can get picked up by a helicopter either in home base and get dropped off at certain landing points in the like war area, or while you're out doing your business, you can call for a helicopter to come to a landing zone. You have to get there and they will take you back to home base, kind of like an extraction method. But I just thought that was really cool. I like that there's still no loading screens. You hop in the helicopter flies you to where you're going and you get to watch everything. You can shoot out if you want to. I don't know. I enjoy not having to go to certain extraction points to extract. If you want to run back to base, you can run back to base. If you want to run to a landing zone, you can run to a landing zone and stuff like that. I don't know. And it also helps because different landing zones in different areas of you going in can help for different tasks. You know, let's say landing zone 1 is closer to this task, but landing zone 2 is closer to another task. You get the gist. Speaking of immersiveness and realism, I have to say that the combat can get grueling, and there will be times Gray Zone brings out my true anger, like Tarkov. But hey, I will say Gray Zone feels a little easier than Tarkov, but there are times where you will get angry that you lost all of your stuff, but hey, that is all just a part of the game. Lastly though, getting to the last unique mechanic before moving on to the performance, that mechanic being the map. Just like, not the map that you get to explore, but the actual map. Everything is done by coordinates for you to kind of battleship your way through. Like, say this task is at 141-163. So you got to look on the map, go through the little squares, figure out where that certain coordinate is. And it's a little square, like a block of land. So you got to search within that. I don't know. That is the gameplay. There's also a whole nother PvE mode, but it's pretty much the exact same. But it's free. You get to free. That's pretty cool. But honestly, I'm going to move on to the performance now because that is kind of a two-sided thing at the moment. So, aside from hardware-related issues, for me, things are pretty expected for an early access. I mean, everything was pretty smooth with some slight lagging and ping spikes, you know, rubber banding, as I read some people calling it here and there, but overall, it was not that awful for an early access game. I was getting good frames, good frame times. It seemed okay to me, but performance is something that is kind of subjective. Computers and PCs are different, and your PC might run it differently than, you know, someone with the 1060 is going to run the game a lot differently than someone with the 4090, so I don't know what to say there. For me, on my 4060 Ti, everything was okay, but I will get back to the performance though, as that is something included in the negative side of things, but for now, I'm going to move on to another thing that I actually ended up liking a lot, and that is the beautiful graphics.
Dear God, it's beautiful.
So this is one part of the video you can't really disagree with, because come on, the graphics in Gray Zone are pretty amazing, and it was one of the first things that I was super impressed with, especially knowing the game came from Madfinger. I'll explain why if you don't know in a bit, but just know Madfinger is not known for making games like this, and this is an insane feat, like graphically, but the environments are popping, accompanied by some great lighting, even great sounds, and just sound design was really good, and you know, all the details on all the armor, the weapons, the decoration, all the decrepitness in some areas, and all the the designers did a really good job on locations, sets, and well, designs. That's what you'd expect from designers, but just look at it for yourself. I can name 100 things that look amazing, but what else can I say about it? You just have to look for yourself. I will add too that part of these amazing graphics are the intricate animations that I was mentioning before. Like sure, you can whip out bamboo and eat it, and that's a cool animation, but I'm betting you didn't even notice things like raising your weapon when you walk through deep water, or you take your finger off the trigger when you're not shooting, practicing good gun safety. I don't know if you've noticed that. If you're shooting at enemies and you keep aiming, you can see your finger come off of the trigger if you stop shooting for an extended period of time. That's just kind of a cool animation. That's a cool little thing that, you know, I just keep finding those small things that add a lot to realism. But as I also mentioned, graphics are only so much, you know, y'all are looking at it. I'll leave the graphics and animations there. I'll put some animations on screen, but finally, I'll get to some of those negatives. Splitting Gray Zone's reception in two, giving it mixed reviews on Steam. I don't know how it has mixed. I love this game so far, and it just seems crazy to me. I'm stuttering over here, but to the negatives. So yeah, I'll just say, anyone who has Steam can scroll through the reviews and you'll see that pretty much half of the players don't like the game, and half of the players are absolutely loving it. Now what's interesting to me is only about half of those negative reviews, like, not half of the reviews, only about a quarter of those reviews are absolutely redundant, and a lot of people just kinda seem to not know the type or genre of game that they ended up buying. But there's a lot of bads I want to get to, so I just want to quick fire them all off, so strap in, I guess. First on the list is something that I have also already touched on, that being the performance. So yes, people are disliking the rubber banding and stutters, that's fair, but a lot of people are saying that they're not getting good frame rates. Which, okay, fair, but this game does have higher recommended specs, and I feel like this might be another Alan Wake 2 issue where new games need new hardware, and some people can't accept that, but I will also say the game is an online early access, so that early access tag is telling you the performance might not be perfect. But then again, I do have a 4060 Ti that is a newer graphics card, so maybe that's why I haven't seen any of these terrible performance issues, and hey, maybe I just don't know. Maybe it is running kind of bad on cards that it shouldn't be running bad on. Hey, I think the 4060 is in the minimum, so I'm even in the minimum, but it's running okay. It's upsetting, but then again, as I said, you're not going to try to compare a 1060 to a 4090. But off of that, onto something similar, CTDs, or crashing to desktops. That sounded like a disease. Crashing to desktop, though, seems like an issue that a few people are having. And this is another thing that it's only an issue if you have it. And I'm not saying like, no, it's only an issue for you people. No, I'm just saying, I personally have not seen a crash, so I can't really talk on the matter. Sure, the game does lag a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. Not a single crash, so maybe take those reviews with a grain of salt. Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Okay, really quick, I guess I do have to pause on that topic and give a little interjection. So, I've played the game for like 30 hours. I have not ran into a single crash, except for the first time I ever opened the game. It glitched out and it glitched my computer out, but after that, no crashes, nothing like that. The only performance issues I experienced were rubber banding, as that's an issue with the game. Everyone's experiencing it, everyone's dealing with it. Even the developers have said they're making an update for that. The update may have come out by the time this video releases, but I didn't have any crashes, so that's why I said, you know, crashes might not be the biggest deal until today. So I recorded all that yesterday, and today I get on my computer. I wanted to do a task or two before I had a couple of things to do later, and I open the game and it crashes right as it launches. I was like, okay. I open the game and it crashes right as it launches. Okay, I verify the game's files, and I open the game, and it crashes as it launches. I restart my computer, and it crashes as it launches. I look at my drivers, they're up to date. So I try again, it crashes as it launches, and I'm like, what is going on here? This is the issue that everyone must be talking about. I'm looking it up. No one can tell me what's wrong. They're just saying how to get it to stop crashing, and finally I figure out the issue of, for some reason, needing to uninstall the game, delete the file, and then reinstall it on another drive. That was the only thing that worked for me. And since then, I am having occasional crashes. So on the topic of crashing, I think yes, it is a big deal. I just said that it's not, but after actually experiencing it, that's just kind of annoying. 30 hours of no crashing, and then I can't even open the game for 2 hours trying to troubleshoot this issue. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And so disregard everything I said about being a personal thing. I do think crashing is an issue and it needs to be. But this is just a quick interjection, and back to the video. But I guess with it being early access, the next issue people have is a whole lot more reasonable to me, and that is the different upgrade packs costing real-world money. So as it is with Tarkov as well, and a ton of other games today for some reason, Gray Zone has their own, tactical elite supporter editions, ranging from $23 to $65 USD, and these packs just add more gear and storage space that you start with. Now, I don't really have an opinion on this. If you don't want it, don't buy it, but I see where some people think it's a little ridiculous for an unfinished game to have such expensive add-ons, though at least it's not as bad as Star Citizen. But, don't play the game. Do not play the game if you find that too egregious, but if you enjoy the game and don't care about those packs, just don't buy the packs, I'll leave that one with you all, and the next of the dislikes is One actually kind of funnier and, well, dumber reasons. Okay, some said the game was boring and it had no story. There were people upset that the game was too hard. I saw someone mad that they lost their loot on death.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And to sum it all up, a lot of people just don't really like the genre of game. The game doesn't suck because it's not someone's style, almost like a 50-year-old reviewing Paw Patrol. It's okay if it's not your type of genre. It's okay if you don't like it. That being said, I did see a good amount of people critiquing things like enemy AI, difficulty, and, fair observations, but it seems like a lot of people just didn't know the game they were buying and ended up negatively reviewing it for that fact. For being an extraction shooter. It's like people bought an extraction shooter, they were like, this is an extraction shooter, and got mad and disliked it for being an extraction shooter. On the conversation of boring, one issue a lot of people have, along with myself, is the lack of different loot and upgradability to your home base. For example, you only ever find food, medicals, and crappy equipment. There's no scraps or electronics or just like random items like lighters and spoons and stuff. In other extraction games you can find a broken phone or something, a phone battery. But one reason to that is there's no upgradable base or area to put that loot or money you've earned into, so it would kind of be useless loot. Then again, I like picking up that loot and selling it and stuff like that, so I just kind of wish they did something of the sorts, like having a base you can upgrade or a base you can build and you can go find loot that you could bring back, or maybe you can find loot in the wild you could sell. Who knows? I feel like that was kind of a missed opportunity, but at the same time I imagine something of the sorts will be added in the future, or I at least hope. I mean, even the dumpster fire that was the day before had random loot and had a base building system of sorts, so still couldn't save that game though. But, okay, another little nitpick I do have is, yes, the game looks great, textures are awesome, but textures can be slightly muddy sometimes, and they sometimes just look kind of bad when you're looking in your inventory, which I always love. Tarkov, for example, you have all these random items. I love being able to look at these items, rotate them around, check them out. You can't even rotate or examine the items, you can just inspect them, and you get to look at a crummy picture, and the bad texture kind of makes it not even worth looking at. I don't know. The textures are muddy, but that's another thing that I think is going to be fixed in the future. But I'll throw it up on screen for you guys to see for yourselves. This is just another little nitpick. And speaking of nitpicks, another one I have, and I guess this one may be dumb, might be a dumb one, but I do wish there was a little bit more clarification on who are your teammates, instead of just squares on the map. For me, there's just little blue squares. I don't know if that changes for faction, but little blue squares on the map. That's the only way you know if they're your teammate or not, and I have admittedly shot a few teammates on accident and killed them, but that being said, it may be intentional. I might just be kind of dumb, because most other extraction games are the same, where they don't clarify who are teammates, and you kind of have to discern for yourself. If you accidentally shoot a teammate, it's kind of your fault. So that might just be a stupid nitpick of mine. Maybe I'm just not paying enough attention. I can only talk about negatives for so long. You can tell the negatives are getting to me. I'm getting too negative. I want to move on. But on the topic of negatives, I think everyone can agree that at least Gray Zone Warfare has a PvE mode that you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on. And come on, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But with all that negativity out of the way, I want to get to the last topic of the day, that being the development, and something I was really surprised with when I learned. So yeah, we don't have a ton of info on the moment, other than the game being, released April of this year, the game's still in early access, and Madfinger was responsible. Well, I bet Madfinger sounds pretty familiar to a few of you. It sounded familiar to me. When I saw that, I was like, what did they make? But like me, I bet you just can't put your finger on why they sound familiar. Well, when I was looking into what other games they've made, I found my answers. So Madfinger are responsible for games like Dead Trigger, Samurai, and Shadowgun games, plus a couple other, but those were mobile releases that I used to play all the time on my iPhone. And think about that, that's crazy. Gray Zone is their first PC release, and with how detailed, large, good-looking, and just fun this game is, like it or not, like the game or not, Madfinger deserves props. Looking at like Dead Trigger, I remember when Dead Trigger came out, it was huge. It was a really good game for a mobile game, but it was a mobile game, and it didn't look fantastic. And I do think a couple of their games were ported to PC, but those were just, you know, mobile ports. And then when you look at Gray Zone, that is a giant jump. They went from mobile games to this. So yeah, enjoy Gray Zone or not, that is just insane. But for the millionth time, I don't even need to say those 2 words. The game is destined to change, most likely for the best. It's a great game now in my opinion. Some don't agree, but to me, I've been really enjoying it, and I can't wait to see what the game has in store in the future. As I said, as of now I can't find much on the development, and honestly, this video is droning on, so I'm gonna wrap everything up with my final thoughts. So in my opinion, the enjoyment of the game all depends on what you like personally. I see a lot of negative reviews and people talking smack, all because they don't like extraction shooters, or they don't know how to play, or they don't know the difficulty, and I feel like the game does not deserve those negative reviews. But the game has seen a lot of players. The game has a lot of players right now, if you look at the Steam charts. So interpret the mixed reviews however you will. That being said, as I said, I did enjoy the game. I really can't stop playing it, but that doesn't mean the game is by any means perfect. It still has room to improve, but there is great potential. And as I said, I can't wait to see what they do with the game. I feel like it's going to get a lot better. Who knows, maybe it'll get a lot worse. Maybe it'll be hit with the same fate as day before and the company will shut down. I don't know. That's unlikely. I think there's enough players enjoying the game that Gray Zone will probably turn into something. Who knows, we'll just have to wait to see in the future. This video is droning on, and I think I'm going to end things off there. But I still want to hear all of your thoughts on Gray Zone Warfare, on this Tarkov lookalike, in the comments now, along with this video. You know, let me know what you're thinking. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, hit that like, and definitely subscribe now to stay up to date on everything to come. Maybe I'll make some more Gray Zone videos if you want me to. If you don't, I won't touch the game again. Just let me know. But if you want to support more videos like this, and get videos up to like a day early, who knows, you'll get videos early, plus you'll get your name at the end of future videos. You might be like, where's the names then? Well, there's no names. You want to be the first person, you want to have your name really big right there? Get a membership now by pressing that little join button below. And lastly, head over to BillyTheWhip on any music platform if you heard any music that you enjoyed and you want to check out more of my home-cooked jams. But with this here, this video is very long, I'm running out of breath and it's hot in my room, so I'm going to say thank you all so much for your viewing pleasure. I thank you all so much for the support this channel has seen, and I hope you all have the best day you can possibly have.
The boogeyman coming for you. Look out for the pigs, look out for me too. Been chewing them up, spitting the new, spitting the bones, pushing the noose, squeezing the game. Been making that juice, no need for the pulp. I'm spitting that too, rip it through. Anyone jumping through hoops, it's emergency, man. Sending the